join Mr. Kyle Juszczyk, joins us on Niners Radio. And Kyle, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. How are you guys?
Great. How's your off season going so far?
Oh, it's been fantastic. Been a lot of travel, a lot of work.
Good.
Also a lot of good time with it.
That is cool. Yeah, you got to take some time for yourself. You got to do that. So it's something that we've done. We've been on here for about going on 6 years now, and it's something that I'd like to talk to you about. Since you did a commercial for it, and that is, obviously with, CTE is a scary thing for any football player. And obviously, with the movie that came out, the sad deaths of, Mike Webster, Dave Duerson, Junior Seau, and obviously people that we've had on our show like Gary Plummer, Jamie Winborn, Eric Wright, that sometimes, they've admitted, they just don't remember their family's name sometimes, where it's almost fog brain. And obviously, 74% of the players this year switched over to 0-1 helmets. And obviously with you doing the commercial, I'd like to ask you, with you making, using the custom helmet last year, how did that work out for you, and do you feel safer now with it?
Yeah, you know what? It worked out great, even better than I had expected. My whole football career, I've only been diagnosed officially with 2 concussions, but every football player will tell you there's definitely more in there that just haven't been diagnosed. And throughout my whole football career at every age, there's always been these moments where you take a big hit, a big jolt to the head, and you have these deja vu moments where, like, I don't know, it's hard to describe, but you just, like, the moment that's in front of you flashes, and you're like, wow, I've seen this before. And, talking to doctors that made some form of, like, a minor concussion or something of that nature. When I switched to this helmet, this was the first year of my career I didn't have a single one of those the entire year. And usually I have 2 or 3. Full season, completely safe. Never had my bell rung, is a common term used. Never had that deja vu moment. None of those flashes of light. I really just was completely protected out there and was functioning really well.
Well, I mean that's awesome, because I do want to mention that concussions from the previous year went from 281 to 214 that were physically mentioned. Obviously, that came to say, okay, we have a concussion here that didn't pass the protocol. And I would like to ask you, obviously, since you've only had a couple, with the protocol, is there certain, like, you have to say the alphabet backwards, or have you been into their new protocol yet in a game yet?
Yeah. No, honestly, it's it's like a week-long process at a minimum. So when I suffered a concussion in week 3, and they take you into the tent, I don't have the specific exact protocol that they do, but they ask you a number of questions. Can you describe the hit? Can you describe what happened after? What's the date? Who are we playing today? Who did we play last week? And they do some different eye tests, and just depending on what they evaluate from there, they'll bring you into the training room and do more extensive tests. But every day after that, you come in, you check in. They do another test to kind of monitor where you're at, and you have to pass a number of different things. You have to pass like an exercise test, some different computer tests. It's pretty thorough.
And what's scary is I think a former Chicago Bear Hall of Famer, I should say, Brian Urlacher, mentioned a couple years ago that a lot of players won't say that they have a concussion because they don't want to come off the field. Now I'm not going to ever ask you if you ever done that, but with this being a serious issue, obviously I think has the NFL taken the right approach of maybe contacting you or the teams of saying, what can we do about this?
Yeah, that culture to change recently, where people, they no longer view it as being weak, being a detriment to their team. That's always preached in the past. You just can't help but feel like, man, I don't want to take myself off the field, that this is a soft injury, da-da-da. But now I think people just take it more seriously, and they understand the severity and seriousness of brain health. And I think people are more willing to acknowledge when, maybe they might have suffered a concussion and they need evaluated. And I think teams in the league have also become more aware of the symptoms and what they can spot on the field and take you off before maybe even you take yourself off.
No, absolutely. And we really do hope that they do. And one last question on this subject. A lot of players said, with these new helmets, it's not more. It's more of a shock resistant. It's more of a thud more than a harder hit that maybe fans don't hear anymore. Would that be accurate, or have you noticed a difference when you are hitting someone?
Yeah, I would definitely say that there's a shock absorption to it that's different than it used to be in the helmets as well as the shoulder pads. The shoulder pads are made out of a new, it's like a military grade, like ballistic foam that it's pretty cool. When they show you the demonstration, they'll set the pad on a table and they'll drop like a steel ball on it, and you'll see it completely absorbs the steel ball and it stops and it hits and doesn't bounce at all. Whereas you'll drop it on the old pads and you'll see it bounce up and down a couple times. It's pretty cool technology that they're building into shoulder pads and our helmets now.
Absolutely, and safety is obviously the issue. Now, are you for or against some of these new rule changes? I know some of the players are like, we understand we want to be safe, but at the same time, a lot of fans will say, well, they're taking football out of it. Where do you stand on, as far as, not just as far as safety, but as far as how football is played these days?
Yeah, you know what, it's a tough topic, and it's always hard to really get an answer. And I feel like I'm a little bit of both sides, but I think if things are officiated the way that they're meant to be, then I think these rules are definitely a benefit. It's just that's when you run into the problem of getting the calls right in that heat of the moment. And I know that we've added, the review to the defensive pass interference and that kind of stuff. But I do think that when officiated correctly in the way that it's meant to be, I think it is safer for the players, and I think that it's also, they're fair rules. I don't think that people should be taking shots to the head when it's unnecessary.
Each year, I was just curious, do you set goals for yourself each season? And if you do, what are your goals, or what do you feel like you want to accomplish in each season?
Yeah, absolutely. I think setting goals is extremely important for every player, and I always suggest to the younger guys when they show up that they should absolutely be setting goals for themselves, and even writing them down, I think, just crystallizes it and makes it, something real that you can go back at the end of the season and look, or even during the season, use it as motivation. And, I always like to start with my team goals, and, as a team, I want to get back to the playoffs. It's been way too long since I've been in a playoff game, almost 5 years now. And then, everyone has the ultimate goal of making it to the Super Bowl. So if you don't have that goal, I don't think that, you're doing things right in this business. Everybody should strive to get there. And then personal goals, I don't typically like to share those with other people, but definitely know that I always have very high goals for myself, and that I do set them.
Right. It seems like the fullback was becoming a dying breed in the NFL the last 2 years, but in the offseason I've noticed a lot of teams are seeking out fullbacks and trying to utilize them, especially the versatile ones. Everybody's wanting a Juszczyk on their team right now. Knowing that you're a big part of that, what is that like? What word of advice could you give an up-and-coming fullback? The advice I give them is that you don't have to play the fullback position in the classic sense that a lot of people think of when you say the term fullback. I don't think that I play it the way that guys 10, 20 years ago did. I think that the game evolves, and you have to evolve with it. You have to be very multifaceted.
You have to be able to contribute in as many ways as possible and just be a very well-rounded football player. So, to all the young fullbacks out there, anytime I get a chance to speak with them, I always try to tell them that my success is not because I've been able to run my head through a wall and put guys on their back and, be that sledgehammer that everybody talks about. My success is because I've been able to play a lot of positions. I've been able to play in space. I know how to position my body. I know that angles are everything in the run game. And I think once guys start to understand that, then maybe you'll start seeing more fullbacks that can be involved in today's NFL offense, and you start to see younger guys start to fill that position.
Exactly. And it's really great to see that our coach and the GM have such high regards for you, and they have so much confidence in you. I have one more question. I'm going to be the first one to wish you a happy birthday. We know you got a birthday coming up. Do you have any plans? You're welcome. So what are your plans? We know you just got back from Thailand.
Yeah. Plans for my birthday, actually, my fiance and I are going to go up to, there's like an observatory or telescope up in the hills near San Jose by my house. So we're going to go check that out because I am a bit of a space enthusiast and all that kind of stuff interests me. So we're going to take a trip up there on my birthday and check it out.
Awesome. I saw the NASA thing on your Twitter. So yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, last year when we had you on, obviously we were talking about who was going to take over the role for Carlos Hyde, and kind of being a committee thing with a lot of people being injured. Obviously, now you have a very full, very talented backfield, including yourself. Obviously, I don't want to put you on the spot and say who's going to take more snaps, but obviously, bringing over someone like a Tevin Coleman, with the amount of people you have, do you think Kyle's going to kind of stay on the kind of the spread running game this year as we go into this off season?
Yeah, you know what? I can't speak for Kyle. I don't know exactly what he's thinking, but just based on what you said with the amount of talent you see in that room, you have to think that he's the best at finding a way to get the ball in the running back's hands. Not just in the run game. I feel like he'll have all of us involved in the run game, pass game, and just the more athletes and proven playmakers that you can get on the field, I think the better. And I think you see a lot of those in the room. And I'm really excited, to be honest with you, to see just how Kyle deploys all of us and how many of us can get on the field at one time. I'm a fan of the running backs, the better.
And every player we bring on here, we like to give the audience or their listening kind of an experience of how to teach people this. And our Twitter question of the day is, when you are obviously in the fullback and you motion out wide, maybe into a slot position, what does that do, and who does usually cover you in those positions? What are you trying to do as far as
That's a great question that I feel like a lot of people really understand the reasoning behind it and why they're seeing Kyle's offense. But there's the pre-snap motion almost 100% of the plays, unless we're in an up-tempo offense. And it can be for a lot of reasons, but a big one, and it's easy to protect myself. If I go up in the backfield to, an outside receiver, maybe even the slot outside of the tight end, you can get an idea of what kind of defense you're going against, because if you see a linebacker or a safety of me outside, then you know that it is most likely man coverage, because they're not going to put a cornerback on a fullback or a running back. Those guys are designated for receivers. Whereas if I motion out there and all of a sudden now I got a cornerback over me, you know that most likely it's a zone defense, because they're not going to match up me with a corner and then put a linebacker on a receiver. It just doesn't make sense. So anytime that you can get an upper hand on the defense and kind of have an idea pre-snap of whether you're going versus a zone or a man defense, that's beneficial. That's why we use motion so often, myself or Kittle or any of the other backs or tight ends.
Absolutely. Well, listen, I would like to thank JL Sports for allowing me to come on. And, Kyle, it's always an honor to talk to you. We wish you nothing but the best. Another great, healthy year. And let's hope for the playoffs.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. Absolutely, man.
Thank you so much for joining us, and have a great off season. And let's go Niners.
All right, thanks, guys. Go Niners. Go Niners. Go Niners.